Welcome to the Glen Alex Show, where your health matters, set your mind, let it flow. Joyful, connected, confident, complete. Let Glen Alex help you back on your feet. The Glen Alex
Hello, world, and welcome back to the Glen Alex Show. On the Glen Alex Show, our mission is for you to be joyful, connected, confident, and complete. The life experience we call wealth, WELLTH, which is health plus other riches. Hi, I'm Glen Alex, author of Living in Total Health, clinical social worker, and the wealth counselor. And my life's work is about health because healthy people are more genuine, are more giving, are more loving. And physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy people are less likely to intentionally harm self or others. Please let that sink in, especially in light of the recent tragic events in our country. Physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy people do not resort to coercion, threats, or violence when they're disagreed with. Unhealthy people do, and unhealthy people attempt to fill the voids in our lives by harming others. So please join me on this path to health so we can create a better world. And I truly believe that it is the physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually healthy people who will right humanity's wrongs. And with that, please help me welcome my guest, Dr. Robyn Donaldson, to the Glen Alex Show.
Applause? Oh, you didn't tell me that. That makes me smile even more.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, I'm alive and kicking.
That's a good place to be.
Yep, 2 weeks into the new year, and it's a good day.
It is. It is. Please introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name, as you mentioned, is Dr. Robyn Donaldson, and I'm a clinical psychologist. Done a couple of things in my career, private practice, worked with the military, worked with the VA. So, I have some experience kind of helping folks and, helping people with grief as well. That's one of my specialties. So yeah, so that's, I believe, one of the reasons that you asked me on here is to use what I know to help folks that are watching your show.
That is the reason, and thank you so much for making time. Now, on the Glen Alex Show, we do focus on a different aspect of total health each episode. And because it is a new year, I don't believe in resolutions. I did want to focus on resilience. And grief work is a huge part of being resilient. So, what's your take on how people can grieve the losses of 2020?
Oh my goodness, like the entire year, just like blink and just pretend like it didn't happen. Easier said than done. That's at least what my patients keep telling me. Like, hey, I wish that we could just like erase. And I said, yeah, but in this day and age, it's delete. Right? The technology. We survived it, and I think that recognizing the fact that we've come through is good, because there was so much that I don't care who you are, like where you came from. Everybody got through this past year, and we're marking on that, regardless of what 2021 brings or continues to bring. Like we have to pat ourselves on the back for getting through, what was 2020.
That's a great point. Because I was thinking more of the morning of 2020, but that's a great perspective is to express gratitude and acknowledge your strength for making it through.
And absolutely, like we going into 2020, we were all excited because it was a cool number and we had high hopes. And you're right, like we're all, even in the recognition that you survived. What did you survive? You survived something that you didn't want to, right? Nobody gets on the other side of grief, or is working through their difficulties and say, they don't will say, hey, this was easy peasy. It's you've gone through something, and there's a reason that we say that we have survived 2020. There's a reason that we say all these things, and my hope is that people in 2021 can acknowledge the fact that they did kind of have some difficulties.
Okay, I hope so too. How do you suggest people use that gratitude or the acknowledgement that they did survive 2020 to move forward in 2021?
Absolutely. I think that recognizing that you survived one year means that you can survive what comes this year. Nobody expected, like this time last year, I had no idea that COVID was coming along, or that we were going to have to deal with social isolation, because that is a lot of what it has been, even though I would recommend against that. It's only physical isolation. Yeah, I think that realizing that you have survived and that you have the stuff to make it through another year is a very, very key point.
Okay, even if all the pieces are not in place yet.
Of course, because right, like we never know, and that's part of resilience, is having faith in your understanding that, yeah, I've gotten through this point in my life. I can get through the next, honestly, if it's an hour. If it is the next day, it's the next day. If it's the next week, month, year, knowing that whatever comes your way, you're going to deal with it the best that you can. And that, in my opinion, is resilience.
Okay, I love it. I love it. Are there any components that or elements that people can use to help strengthen their resilience, like a support system, those kind of elements?
Well, absolutely. Yes, all of that and then some. I mean, I love the websites. They're like, oh, resilience is this and blah blah blah. Okay, great. Those are wonderful things to do, like self care, like go, hit the gym, but they're not open. Like all the things that, like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, if I could like carve out some time in my day, I could make resilience happen. The challenge is that we are living, breathing, surviving, and we need to, at the same time that we are doing all of that, which is a lot of work, try to do the things that are going to keep us going. And that is where I think resilience is. So we don't get the luxury of building resilience before the issues happen. Like, how many of y'all were really in 2019 saying, okay, I need to build up my resilience like tool because 2020 is going to be tough? No, I didn't do that, and I'm a professional. Um, so you have to build resilience as you're going through the hard stuff. And I think that that is the challenge, but that is also, I think, where our work lies in 2021. We've been through 2020. We know what helped us then and what didn't, and kind of what we need to pad up to prepare for whatever 2021 brings.
Okay, okay. So resilience for you is kind of on the job training.
Right.
You do it as you go.
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
OTJ to the max. Yeah. Because exactly. But the challenge, right, is that nobody says, well, except for on this show, nobody says, hey, this is what you need to do to build resilience, right? Like, that's honestly why I think that you should be watching this. Right. Like, we do the things that keep us functioning, that keep us going, even in the difficult times. So for me, sometimes that means taking a bath after work. Now, I work very hard from home, and I get to wear yoga pants, except for when I have to go in the clinic now 1 day a week. But that means taking a bath. That means going and running around the neighborhood. That means making sure that I drink enough water because I live in a desert, as do you. Um, but not everybody does. But like doing the things that keeps our body, making sure that I have 7 hours of sleep. Things that seem really silly or not important, but these are the things that keep us going. And yes, we need to make sure that we are doing those things.
Okay. They those things do sound basic, yet they are the foundation for living and thriving and being resilient. So I love that you pointed those very simple things out. And it may sound just intuitive to say that you need a support system to be resilient. However, I know quite a few people who say I can make it on my own. I don't need help.
Yes, I think that helpers like you and I are definitely folks that do that. And I talk with enough of my patients to know on a daily basis to be reminded, hey, I am only here because of the network of people that are around me. Okay, can I do, I'm sorry, do I have issues with not being able to go have coffee or lunch or dinner with some of my besties? Absolutely. Or family members. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like, I just found out, and Glenn, I didn't tell you this, but last night I found out that my dad is in the hospital with COVID.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you very much. So as we talk today, I'm going, I mean, I'm laughing because otherwise I'd be crying. But it's like, holy crap! If I'm going to be there for my dad, I've got to bolster my resilience. I've got to bolster this stuff. And so for me, that means talking with my family members, talking with my siblings, talking with my friends, talking with you, because it's not. This is not going to be easy. I may lose my dad. He's up there in age, even though I am in the bud of youth, right? Of course, you couldn't imagine that my father would be as elderly as he is, but that's the concern that we all have is that any of our loved ones, if they contract this disease, this illness, that they could die. So absolutely, I'm going to be relying on my support network, which has been a challenge shifting. Like it's almost like it's scheduling. You know how, and I don't know, Glenn, if you've had this challenge, but saying, okay, to exercise, my appointment with myself is from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and I'm going to go running or whatever it is. Well, now it is, hey, after work, and I work until 6, which is silly sauce, but it is what it is. Um, I have an appointment with my BFF at 7 on Zoom, and we're gonna chat, and she's gonna, eat her dinner, and I'm gonna eat mine, and that's what we get to do in COVID times. But that is so crucial because otherwise, how am I gonna know what's going on with her?
Absolutely, absolutely, and we do have to be flexible and adapt to the times and what's available to us. I've done several Zooms with my family members in other states, for birthdays, for Christmas, because we had to, and to stay connected. And my siblings and I have like a running text message thread that we check in with each other. So, I mean, your social network is very, very important, along with the other things that you pointed out, to keep us engaged in living every day.
Now, am I sad that I can't go and meet and hang out and have physical contact with my loved ones? Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's part of the grief. That is ongoing. It is not, oh, well, we can leave that in 2020. That is, I'm still, and my grief, like I'm hitting all the fun stages. I'm pissed off about it. I'm, sad about it. I'm all these things. And, I have to accept it. I have to go through that cycle very fast because this is survival right now. And I don't get to just kind of fold my arms and say, well, forget this. I still need to work on me and to work on building my resilience so I can be resilient and like helpful for other people, including my family and my.
Absolutely. Yes, yes. Now, a lot of people that I work with assume that grief is a straight line. You cry and you get over it, and they get really annoyed, frustrated, depressed when there are those ups and downs. And so, like you with the COVID thing, I'm really comfortable being at home, self isolating, and there are some times when I want to just go have a meal and feel safe, and I don't want to have to eat through a mask. So, what do you have to say to people who misinterpret the grief process, that it's not a straight line, and how to manage it when you do have those dips?
Well, so this is the fun part is that I've had to re-educate people for so long. Yes, they talk about the 5 stages because and Kubler-Ross was great. And Kubler-Ross created a systematic way of grieving for a situation of people that were dying and were anticipating their own death, and for family members anticipating that person's death. However, it's not across the board. People like 5, right? It's easy. It's 5. Like that's great. I can go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. Anybody that is actually grieved, like your first pet, a bird that was like tweeting across the street, and then you're like, oh, that bird's gone. Like when you're 5 years old, we all recognize on some level, oh, this is a lot more complex. And so I always tell people, hey, you know what? You're going to grieve however you're going to grieve. Sure, of course, you're going to have a lot of emotions and it's going to be wonky. And I love the word wonky because it's super clinical. And I say, just let yourself experience what you're going to experience. And believe me, I'm still like, and grieving is the state of existence. Every day, if there is change, there is grief. Because every time that something changes in our life, good change or not so great change, we are grieving what used to be. And so I try to remind people of that. Like, it's okay. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to have all these emotions. And the moment that we say, oh, it's not okay, that's when we start having the hiccups. That's when we start having the challenges. So you're going to get through grief moment by moment, and you're going to get through it quicker if you allow yourself to get through it moment by moment.
I love that. That was so profound. And what did it was it you said grief is a state of living? Is that what
Yeah,
you said? I love that.
that catchphrase right there. 2021. Grief is a state of living.
I am going to use it. Thank you very much.
Broadcast it. Share it with the world. That's what yes. Amen.
Okay, I absolutely will. I, I mean, we can talk about this all day
I know.
because
You
it is life.
talk today because we have a fun time talking.
Well, I have to stop laughing as much to really say something important.
You say many things that are important, and yes, you could talk. You and I could talk about grief all day long because we have intimate knowledge of it. So of course we could.
Yes, and personal experience. So we actually have to do the work ourselves.
Every day. And that's what I say is that, I grieve my husband every day. He's been gone for 7 years, and I'm reminded of it every single day. And guess what? That's simply part of life. It doesn't mean that my life is worse because I married him and we had a life together. Absolutely not. I would never take that away. Does it help me in dealing with the grief that I have for 2020? Yes, because I realize, hey, I have skills. I have developed skills over my life that are going to help me. No, that doesn't mean that everybody needs to go out and find somebody that's on the brink of death because my husband wasn't. That's not going to help you. But recognizing that everything that you go through has helped to prepare you for this moment, whatever that moment is. And honestly, and please remind me of the date, the 16th of January, right? I did get the second dose of the vaccine, so my brain's a little off today. Just saying.
Okay. Okay.
It'll come back. It'll come back. It'll be great. But so this moment in time, like everybody that is watching this, whatever date that you're watching this, everything in your life has brought you to this moment, and you have skills that you don't even realize. Remembering that and giving yourself, hey, I've gone through this, I can go through the next 24 hours. That to me is resilience.
Oh my gosh, I totally agree. I totally agree. And I love everything you've said because you made it clear that this is a process, it's a daily process, and we do have the skill set to manage life and still come out on top. I love that. Thank you so much.
Well, that's what I try to convince my patients of, because I think that is the challenge that we have, is that we start to doubt. We start to question, hey, can I get through can I get through this next, you know, inauguration? Can I get through the next, month of, you know, the not having as much money in my bank account? Can I get through this heartbreak? The fact that, my person broke up with me. Can I get through that? And when we start to doubt that, that's when all the other issues come in. When we say, no, I've got this. I know it's going to be tough because nothing in life is easy. But having the faith that you can get through it, that's huge. And that is what actually brings you through. And if you don't have it now, at the end of it, that is my hope that you will.
That is my hope too. And oh my gosh, okay, so I'm sitting here mesmerized. I'm just listening and taking it all in and trying to decide how I can use this information for myself.
What are you talking about? You do it every day of your life. You and I talk. I know you work on this. Like we all like, and it's super cool for me to say, oh yeah, this is what you need to do. I struggle with this too. You struggle with it every day. Like, well, crap, I'm not sure I can get through this. And then we're like, okay, well, wait a minute. Let's compare. Is it as bad as X, Y, and Z? Like, for example, my dad being in the hospital for COVID, right? Really bad. No, I'm not happy about this. No,
I,
no,
I wouldn't be either.
like I have a great relationship with my dad. I don't want him to die. I don't want anybody in my life to die because it's rude. And that's my humor. But no, I don't want to have to lose anybody in the physical realm sooner than I need to. But I also know that I have all the skills to help me help my family members and myself deal with whatever's going to come next. And if that means that he dies, then that means that he dies. And I will grieve and I will get through it. But I know that I will also get through the death of each member of my family, because that could happen. I don't expect it to happen, but I think that it's important to also recognize that we are fragile people, creatures, what have you, and that grief is going to be associated with the passing of anybody or the change in life. And so I think that you and I are uniquely like positioned to manage these things. Okay, you just like, I don't know what just happened there. Your connection was not so great, but you're back now. So I grieved a little bit in the microseconds that you're like, I don't get to see Glenn anymore. I'm sad. But like having faith that we can deal with whatever life throws our way, that to me is a form of enlightenment. And I know that that's like, woo woo on a certain level, way up here if you can see my hand. But yeah, I absolutely believe that that is what we all strive for. So I work on it because I don't believe that I can survive everything, but I'm working on it because so far I have.
Yes, and it is a work in progress. Now, so when I work with clients, my approach to them is to help them reconnect with their own innate abilities and skills instead of me dumping it into them or teaching them, or it's more of a guidance kind of process. So, what would you say to someone who says, "I don't know how to change. I don't know how to grieve. I don't know how to do this or do that."
Well, hmm, you're asking a therapist questions. Like, my first thing was, okay, well, how have you grieved so far? Okay, so an image just came to me, and I got to share it with you because,
Okay.
of course, I'm going to. And this is, and I have, like, this is not what that I tell my patients, but I'm totally going to start telling them this, is that, you know, when your car breaks down, right? You take it to a mechanic. Glenn, you and I are like mechanics, right? Do you need to call the mechanic every time you start the engine to take it out of the driveway? No. Like, you drive, you took the test, you kind of learned, you have some basic, you're probably not like the best driver ever, safest, or um oh, I used to know what that the southern, it's in the south. But we have one out here. Anyway, the race car drivers, we'll just call it that.
Okay.
The race car drivers, you're probably not, I'm not a race car driver, but I can still get my car from point A to point B. Do I need to call my mechanic every single time? No. I call my mechanic when I notice that there's some issue. And so it's like, you don't know how to grieve. Really? Well, Glenn, you and I had just talked about how we grieve every day of our lives. I'm grieving the fact that, today is a new day and yesterday was a great day, but today is a different day. Like, even though, okay, it's not that huge of a grief, there is this piece of, okay, I have to let go. And that's part of it, letting go of what was yesterday in order to embrace what is today.
Okay.
And let go of today in order to embrace tomorrow. And so, what I remind folks is, hey, you are your own mechanic. You can put gas in your car. You can, like, make your car function. And grief is the same way. Whatever you're dealing with, you've got it. You may just not know the skills that are needed to get you through, to get you to that next destination point.
Okay. That is a great analogy. I'm gonna have to steal that one from you too.
Hey, it just came to me, so please, as I keep saying, share it. If it can help somebody, please share it.
I will. I will. Oh my gosh, you are such a treasure to talk to, always. So what is the one thing, the one nugget you want to share with the world?
You told me to think about this, and I'm like, well, crap, that's a lot of pressure on me. Um, my thought is that I send out a lot of dust, and I hope that somebody can, like, bring that dust together to make a nugget. Really think in analogies, so this is, like, really amusing to me. Okay, one thing that I really wanted to kind of put out there for today, on the 16th of January, because that's my belief of what today is, and I think I'm accurate. But I want people to cut themselves some slack. Like, so many times I'm talking with people, and they, even with pandemics, even with all the political, socioeconomic stuff that is hitting everybody right now, they are still putting so much pressure. And my thought is, like, hey, maybe you don't need to worry about your eyelashes. Maybe you don't need to worry about the fact that, that your 2-year-old is crying. Like, maybe it's okay to just not be perfect, especially given our times. And so that is my big hope, is getting people to, hey, refocus on your own resilience
Mhm.
and not on perfection, because there is no such thing as perfection with resilience. Like, you and I are both professionals. Like, we've been to school and stuff, and we are working on the things that we are telling our people to work on. So guess what? If we're not perfect, we don't expect them to be, and the world really doesn't expect them to be. We are doing the best that we can.
Okay. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Focus on your resilience and not perfection.
Absolutely. Yes. See, there you go. You took my dust. Little dust. Maybe they were pebbles, and you put it together in a nugget. Oh, I appreciate you so much.
Oh, I appreciate you too, because I've learned a lot today.
Good. I'm glad. Hey, maybe people do pay me for a reason.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for making time to be on the Glen Alex Show. If someone has a question or needs some advice, would you be willing to give out your contact info? How can they reach you?
I mean, my first thought is to go through you. But sure. So
I
my
mean, it's not necessary. You don't have to.
no, it's okay. I'm just thinking, well, because I have a lot of different fingers and a lot of different pools, and so I'm thinking, okay, which one? So sure, absolutely, feel free to send me an email, and that is dr like doctor because I am, but a different type of doctor. Robyn, that's my first name. L for the second, or for my middle name, and then donaldson at gmail.com.
Okay.
Very exciting, email, but it's essentially my name with doctor at the front.
Okay. Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you again. I really appreciate you, and be well. And much prayer and love and light to your father.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate that.
Refresh your spirit with a nourishing thought.
Please allow me to leave you with this nourishing thought. Psychotherapist Amy Morin said, "There will always be obstacles and challenges that stand in your way. Building mental strength will help you develop resilience to those potential hazards so you can continue on your journey to success." That is so true. And I do understand that life is hard sometimes. Life will throw challenges and obstacles in our way seemingly frequently. So health and joy are not about the absence of difficulty. Being resilient in response to loss, defeat, failure, and disappointment is the way to fulfillment. Having the skill to navigate physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual pain is key not only in recovering from setbacks, the skill of resilience is the way, is the ticket to transcendence and thriving. So I encourage you to tap into your innate ability to be resilient. You already have this skill set within. And for some simple action steps to take to reconnect with your natural ability to be resilient, please read my blog for my ACASH method to help you thrive in 2021 and to make 2021 your healthiest year ever. And collectively, if we all tap into our resilience and this natural skill set, just think how much better we can make the world. And with that, until next time, be well.